back with us on the SportsMax Zone. Off-field issues continue to plague the beleaguered Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, TTFA. The latest issue concerns an altercation between national senior men's head coach Terry Fenwick and the TTFA's Director of Communications and Media, Shaun Fuentes. TNT-based sports journalist Andrew Baptiste discussed the issue during his show on I-95.5 FM earlier today.
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Trinidad and Tobago's football has been rocked yet again, with news today that at the Hazley Crawford Stadium, just before a press briefing, the head coach Terry Fenwick was involved with an altercation with the media director Shaun Fuentes. It's unclear exactly what transpired, but what I-95.5 FM can tell the people of Trinidad and Tobago and elsewhere is that had it not been for the kit man Coxey, who intervened as almost a referee to stop what was happening, we are hearing the matter could have been more severe. We understand that the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, through the normalization headman Robert Haddad, have asked for a report on the incident. It is unclear exactly what would have caused Terry Fenwick to enter into an altercation with Shaun Fuentes. Some are saying it was because of the presence of certain media. Nevertheless, we understand that the press briefing did take place afterwards when everyone cooled down. But the news here on I-95.5 FM is that Coach Terry Fenwick had an altercation, physical altercation, with Shaun Fuentes. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on. This is Andrew Baptiste for I-95.5 FM.
So that's what Andrew Baptiste told his legion of listeners earlier today. And then as the story broke and started making its way around the region and outside, because there are a couple of guys in the UK who have been communicating with about the story, they were on it as well. This video emerged of a part of what happened at the training ground. So this is inside the Tobago Stadium, CNC3's footage, and that's Fenwick, and in the red top, of course, and the black shorts, Fuentes in the grey and the trousers, and they're having that discussion. Clearly, this isn't the complete footage. This is just a snippet of what happened, recorded by, they say, a bystander. We understand that CNC3 reporters were there, and that's what was captured. Now, before we go even further, it is opportune for me to say that we reached out to Shaun Fuentes, the man who is part of the issue we're discussing, or well, at the heart of this issue we're discussing. He committed to an interview, but then our producer said he just received a message from Shaun Fuentes saying that he's unavoidably absent by virtue of being in another meeting that he can't get away from to honor his commitment to speak. So Fuentes did agree to speak, but then he has informed us late, just about showtime, that he was detained elsewhere and couldn't be a part of this meeting. Wired 868 have written a very interesting account of what happened, and it's instructive that I go to Wired 868 because, team, from what we gather, the principal at Wired 868, Lasana Library, was perhaps, based on our understanding, our reports, the cause for Terry Fenwick to lose his rag with Fuentes. And the story on Wired 868's website, the title says, Fenwick allegedly attacks press officer. TTFA opens probe. The first line of the story is a quote, "I told you I am not doing any beep interview once he is here," and I bleep the expletive. That's what Fenwick shouted at media officer Shaun Fuentes, the story says. It says Fenwick was getting ready to start a press briefing at the Tobago Stadium in Couva and had two journalists in close proximity when he cursed at the TTFA employee. Lasana Library said this journalist, meaning Lasana Library, had just come within view, walking alongside two CNC3 media workers. The story says that both men in the eyesight of Lasana Library had a verbal altercation. But then Lasana Library says that eyewitnesses report that Shaun Fuentes was headbutted twice by Terry Fenwick outside of, well, he didn't see that, but he's saying at least 3 eyewitnesses told him that Fuentes was headbutted twice, and that what the video showed is perhaps the aftermath of that whole issue. Now, just before I get the view of the team here, I want to read a statement that has been issued under the hand of the TTFA. It says, the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association wishes to state that following an incident at the senior team training session involving men's national head coach Terry Fenwick and the director of communications and the team press officer Shaun Fuentes on Wednesday morning at the Tobago Stadium, the matter has been addressed at a meeting involving the 2 individuals, team manager Adrian Romain and the Normalization Committee Chairman Robert Haddad. The TTFA further advises that the matter was blown out of proportion as head coach Fenwick only chose to express his disapproval of a certain member of the media fraternity being present at a scheduled media briefing on the eve of the team's departure for the Dominican Republic for the upcoming CONCACAF World Cup qualifier against Guyana. Apologies, the statement says, were exchanged, and the Fenwick and the Fuentes have since agreed to put the incident behind them and continue the focus on the team's upcoming assignments in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Both Fenwick and Fuentes proceeded to conduct themselves, the statement says, in a professional manner and subsequently hosted the media briefing before the media present at the venue. And the kick to the statement for me is that the statement is signed Shaun Fuentes, Director of Communications Media. So Fuentes is writing the press release about the incident in which he was allegedly assaulted. So, team, what make you of all this?
What I get from that entire thing is that, one, a person from the media was seen as, not allowed to be at this press briefing. The first problem I have with that is you can't tell which media house to come at your press briefing. Isn't it open to the public? So that's the first issue I have with the entire situation. And is it because you don't like the way a particular media house, discusses an incident or whatnot? You would behave in such a manner. I mean, you're a leader of a team and we would expect differently. And I mean, you can express things, but just not in the manner. So I have an issue with, one, the fact that the media is supposed to be objective and allowed at public press briefings. And the second is the manner in which it was, everything played out.
Well, I'm very keen, George and Mariah, to understand the line in the press statement issued by the TTFA under Shaun Fuentes' signature that says the matter was blown out of proportion. Now, I'm not sure if that means that there was no physical contact, because that's what eyewitnesses are reporting, George and Mariah, that there was physical contact between Fuentes and Fenwick, which is a very, very serious matter. Fenwick has had in the past temper issues and was banned for 10 matches back in 2005, I think,
yes,
in a Toyota Cup final when he was coach of San Juan Jablote and struck a W Connection player, Jefferson Goulart. He was banned for 10 matches for that incident, apologized and so on. I think the ban was reduced after some appeal and so on. But he does have at least one instance in the past of losing his cool and not behaving in a proper manner. I'm not sure if these two gentlemen were inspired by our segment yesterday, George and Mariah, about the undisputed former world middleweight boxing champion Marvin Hagler.
I'm hoping not, but I just want to say one more thing. I have personally had issues trying to reach out to Mr. Terry Fenwick over and over. I mean, since we did our story on the TTFA, since then, there's been no contact. I would send messages, I would call and no answer. So I'm just wondering if it is that certain media houses are just being sidelined.
Well, the thing is this, you all know where I stand on press freedom as the president of the Press Association
Correct.
of Jamaica. And if one of my members reported that they were barred from a press conference, it would be hell and powder house, I can tell you that. It wouldn't be a quiet matter dealt with. We would make a lot of noise, and we would demand and demand strongly that the press briefings be opened to the press. Look, a private club, a football clubs like Manchester United, where back in the day when Sir Alex Ferguson was famous for banning journalists, that's fine. A football club is as it was then, was a private company. Yeah, so you can choose to admit whoever you want to your press briefings. But this is a national football team, so you can't choose which journalists you want there to start with. And I would expect the TT Press Association to take this matter up. The second thing, this statement does not need forensic analysis for any right-minded individual to realize that it doesn't go far enough to rebut the claims that are making the rounds that the head coach assaulted a TTFA employee. There was a holding statement, as Lance highlighted, in the holding line in the statement to say blown out of proportion. But blown out of proportion could mean, yes, he headbutted him, but for those who are saying he headbutted him because of some deep-seated issue from before, that is a proportion in which it is blown out of. But yes, he did headbutt him. We want to know. The statement was careful to say, and perhaps it is, they didn't go that extent because there were eyewitnesses who could rebut them. The statement, if there was no physical altercation, the statement should have said, reports that the head coach physically assaulted Mr. Fuentes or there was an attack on Mr. Fuentes' person by the head coach, not true.
Exactly.
The statement did not say that.
Yes.
All it said was that reports about the incident were blown out of proportion. Yeah. So a reasonably inquiring mind can ask, oh, so what about the real issue of a physical altercation that the gentleman was headbutted twice? And look, we have no axe to grind against anybody. We're just wanting to know what happened. And there are several things wrong with what played out based on what we are understanding. But the TTFA seems keen to get the big carpet, Lance, Mariah, and the big broom, and to sweep all that dirt beneath, cover it up, and sit on that same mat and go to dumb rep.
What we do know is things are never covered up for long. The truth always comes to light. So.
Yeah, all right. The fourth T20 international between England and India comes up on the Home of Champions. You know, you can watch that match right there. It's a very entertaining series. Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. in Jamaica, 9:30 a.m. outside. You click it on to SportsMax, relax, and enjoy.